Welcome to the University of Bamenda radio station. You're tuned on to your favorite environmental program, Green Globe. Green Globe is a production of Green Globe Organization in collaboration with the Department of Geography and Planning under the mentorship of the highly esteemed head of department, Professor Mbanga Lawrence Ake. Dear listeners, we're going to have a very interesting discussion today, and we equally have amazing panelists. We'll head over to the audio console to get a bar of an environmental music, after which I will introduce our topic of discussion of today, and I'm equally going to introduce our guest for today. Listen to the music even as it educates you. Welcome back, favorite listeners of the University of Bamenda Radio. You're still tuned to the program Green Globe. Green Globe is your favorite environmental issues that treat environmental problems in the most simplified manner. Dear listeners, with me in the studio, we have our seasoned resource person. To my right, we have Mr. Alan, who is a renewable energy expert. We equally have with us in the studio Mr. Quencha Emmanuel, who is an environmentalist and who has always been an amazing resource person who has always been there whenever he is needed. We equally have with us an agricultural engineer, otherwise known as engineer agronome, Mr. Fombutu Maxwell. Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
And we equally have with us behind the camera Mr. Initial Eric. Dear listeners, in today's edition, we'll be talking about population issues and the environment, because July 11th is the World Population Day, and there is a very proportionate relationship between environmental issues and the population. And that is why with us we have these experts to be able to elucidate this relationship and to see how we can foster a mutual symbiosis between humans and the environment, such that our population develop in a sustainable manner while taking care of the environment. Dear listeners, at this juncture, we head over to the audio console where we have Madam Christina to give us a bar of an environmental song, after which we'll dive into our first segment of the discussion for today. Welcome back, beloved listeners of the University of Bamenda radio station. You're tuned to your favorite environmental program, Green Globe. And in today's edition, we are talking about population and environmental issues. And as such, we will turn over to the experts and precisely to Mr. Maxwell. So please, we would like to know from you, what are some of those population issues that affect the environment? Because in today's world, we come to realize that most environmental issues are human induced. We have, for example, population growth. So, what is the relationship between population growth and environmental issues?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bertrand, for giving me the floor, and good afternoon again to our listeners. There is a direct relationship between population and the environment because, like you know, the population lives on the earth, they don't live in space.
That's
So,
right.
when the population uh, grows in an exponential way, it places pressure on land. You will discover that there will be limited natural resources. Let me put it that way. We have the natural resource. We have land, of course. We have water, and even the quality of air will reduce. In places like China, there's always talk on for air pollution
Even
due
in
to
India too.
industrialization and so on, and in India,
Mhm.
Brazil, and all of those nations that are just newly industrialized. So you see, there is a direct relationship between population growth and the environment. There is when the population grows to a certain extent.
Mhm.
Let me not go far. Just look at our town,
Okay.
Bamenda. Yes, you discover that in some areas, land access to land is actually very difficult,
And that's
and the
it.
price
Mhm.
of land in some areas is really really high.
That's
You
true.
see that just within the town there is a lot of concentration, and because of that concentration, we are having now problems of we have water shortages because the water supply cannot meet the demand in the town, and we equally have heat waves that is rising recently, heat waves that have been rising recently due to the population growth. So these are some of the issues that pertain to the environment and population. a direct relationship.
Wow, that's amazing. Well elucidated. So, is it equally fair to say that urbanization is one of the main contributors to environmental issues?
Well, you will not be far from the truth if you make that statement, because environmental issues, they come about because of man,
That's true.
the action of man, or better still, the negative actions of man. That is why we have environmental issues, climate change, and so on.
Okay, so just picking up from there, considering the fact that you're from the background of an agricultural engineer, we would like to bring in something which is very much in relation to your field of study. So, what about poor agricultural practices? Are poor agricultural practices contributing to environmental issues in any way?
Okay, there is a term in agriculture which we call it sustainable agriculture.
Okay,
That is ensuring that agriculture is carried out in a way that posterity
be
will not be
affected.
affected. That is, the
Okay,
future generations will not be affected, and the population, the environment will equally not be affected. So, the unfriendly agricultural
okay, the
practices,
keyword unfriendly.
unfriendly
Okay,
agricultural practices. We have bush burning, we have slash and burn,
Ankara
we have the
system.
Ankara system, and
Okay,
so on and so forth.
paste.
Unscrupulous use of pesticides.
Okay.
These are some of the agricultural practices that hamper or place a threat on the environment. So, responsible farming practices
Okay.
is very important when it comes to agriculture. Every farmer should take note of this. It will go a long way to help preserve the environment and keep our climate safe for everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Fombutu Maxwell. Indeed, I'm sure listeners have been very much educated, and as we promised them that we bring in seasoned resource persons who have experience in the field, who have a mastery of what we are talking about. And truth be told, from what he just explained, I'm sure that we can all attest to the fact that Mr. Maxwell is not just coming from an agricultural background; he's actually practicing agriculturalist, and he's carrying out projects on regenerative agriculture, agroforestry, and other sustainable agricultural practices. To which those who are interested will, after will give his number, could reach out to him for training and other related stuffs. And at this juncture, we equally turn to our environmentalist in the house, Mr. Quencha Emmanuel. So please, we would like to know from you, what are some of those environmental issues that affect human beings? Because he has talked about the human activities that affect the environment. So we'd like to know, what are some of the environmental actions, or let's say environmental factors, or do we call them environmental problems, or environmental issues better still, that affect human beings?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Awad Fetran. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be in your midst today. Okay, talking of some environmental issues that affect the population, we have pollution.
Okay.
Yeah, when we talk of pollution, we have basically three types of pollution. We have air pollution, we have water pollution, and we have land pollution.
Oh.
Yeah, so there are a lot of practices that we humans do that are environmentally unfriendly to these areas that I have stated here. Yeah, when we talk of air pollution, we talk of things that we humans do that emit gases that are not friendly to our environment and even to us humans. Yeah, there is this issue of I think around town here, I see a lot of cars that move with
Exhaust.
exhaust. Their exhaust remove. I think black smoke. I mean, even smoke that you will not see in the firewood kitchen. All this smoke like this go along. So I don't know. I don't know if I should just be going into the remedies of this, because
No, we'll get to that in the second segment of the
okay,
program.
yeah.
Okay, so just to equally ask, what about land degradation? Because land degradation, does it really affect human beings? We have things like land degradation, as we've talked about pollution. What about land degradation? What about desertification? What about climate change? What about drought? Do these things actually affect human beings? Because some people say it's a myth. Many people say it's a conspiracy by the Europeans and whites for us not to exploit our resources. So we would like to know from you, are these environmental issues, for example, climate change, is it real?
It's real. It's
Okay.
very much real.
What are some of
Remember
the
even
indicators?
remember even with the coming of the rainy season, I
Mm-hmm.
think places were really hot. I mean, even after a downpour, you still feel heat.
Yeah, we can all
So,
attest to
which
that.
was not that in the past years. So
That's true.
this is already indicating to us that there is a problem. I mean, just even the normal sun itself, the morning sun, they hit that in the meat.
Yeah.
I think at this we it's not even well, I mean you cannot even sit outside at that time. Let's say by 12 noon,
Mm-hmm.
1 p.m. You can't even sit outside. You can't even
Comfortably.
walk under the sun
That's true.
comfortably. So it's something that we are really facing and we are feeling. And when we talk of even the deforestation, the cutting down
Mm-hmm.
of trees, some of these trees are actually the trees that preserve water
That's
for
true.
us.
That's
And if
true.
you look at how things are going on even in our society today, we find it even difficult to have drinking water.
That's true, and I mean the incidence of drought seems to be prevailing in an exponential manner, and you come to realize that unlike before, today you see children queuing up in lines in almost every quarter, be it in the urban areas and even in the rural areas. Okay, so we equally like to know from you, what about desertification? Is it real? Is desertification real?
It is real, Mr. Howard. Very much real.
Okay, and in this context of let's say the savannah area where we live, we consider desertification to be more of land degradation, and this land degradation is a function of the interaction of human activities as well as natural factors, and we think that all these things have solutions, and as such, we'll be diving into our second segment where we'll be elucidating some of the solutions that could be implemented to ensure that best environmental practices are being put in place that can address these issues for us. And as such, at this juncture, we'll be heading over to the audio console where Christina is going to give us another bar of an environmental song, which is equally going to educate our listeners. Okay, so at this juncture now, we'll be listeners of the University of Bamenda radio station. You're still tuned to your favorite environmental program, Green Club. And at the second segment of the program, we'll be looking at the solutions to these environmental issues. And as I initially announced in the studio, we are privileged to have a renewable energy expert with us, and that is no other than Mr. Alan. Mr. Alan, please, would like to know from you, sir, what are some of the solutions that can be put in place to address these environmental issues from the perspective of renewable energy, considering the fact that you're a renewable energy expert.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity and privilege to be part of this program. As talking about the solution or the remedies that we can propose to solve this problem of pollution and environmental issues, we propose renewable energies. That is the use of renewable energies. The use of renewable energies will be a very great source of help to solve these environmental issues. What are renewable energies? When we talk of renewable energies, first of all, we have the prefix renewable. When we say renewable sources of energies are energy we can say in mere languages. In mere language, those are sources of energy that does not finish, that are produced by the nature. The source of renewable energy, for example, that we have sun, we have water, just to name few of them. We have even the wind.
Okay.
So we have some renewable energy sources. We have sun, we have the wind, we have water. So there are many technologies that are actually there are many technologies that are presently and actually undergoing. But I would say in our context, looking at the context of the population and where we are here in Africa, yes, because there's wind energy, but it's not so effective here
Okay.
because when we talk of renewable sources of energy, we also have to take into consideration the price, how costly it can be to afford them. So for wind energy, I think a mama in the village
Mhm.
cannot be able to afford that. Yes. So hydropower using water,
Mhm.
I think mama in the village cannot afford that.
Okay.
But now talking of the more, I would say the most easiest and the less costful renewable source of energy that can be most effective in our
Mhm.
context can be solar energy.
Okay.
Solar energy. I tell even a mama in the village can install a solar system. So
Okay.
when we talk of solar energy, there are many components that incorporate it. We have, when we talk of solar energy, we have solar panels. I tell you, met somebody in the quarter can know what is a solar panel. So a solar panel is simply an electronic something that is built of cell that converts that sun, that natural sun, into electricity.
Okay.
So a mama in the village can actually do is a simple solar system that can even help her to charge her phone. Even students, because we have too much problem of power failure.
Yes.
It will not only solve the problem it will not only solve environmental issues, but it also help us to have effective electricity. So the most the most effective renewable source of energy that can be implemented in our context will be solar energy.
Okay, so solar energy is what you are advocating for.
Yeah, that is what I'm advocating for, sir.
Okay, wow, that's really, really interesting. And it's worth noting that Mr. Alan who just recently bagged a diploma, the best two in renewable energy, mainly solar energy, and we're privileged to be there. And it was indeed a powerful demonstration. The tools he created were very much impressive, and that's why we brought him into the studio to show that, so that he could share some of these experiences with our listeners. We'll be turning over to Mr. Initio Eric. Sir, please, would like to know from you, what are some of those solutions, proposed solutions that can be put in place to ensure that we have best environmental practices and address these environmental issues that are negatively affecting us?
Okay, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bertrand. Thank you for being part of this program today. I think as solutions which I'm going to propose here to address these environmental issues, I think one of them is recycle our waste. Yes,
Okay, wow.
in order to conserve our natural resources. Because discover if we recycle our waste, it will go a long way to preserve some of those resources that are being used to produce.
Okay.
Yes. So what am I saying here? For example, the material which you use to produce plastics. Just imagine we have to recycle. Let me say our containers for juice. If we have to reuse them, maybe for planting, for agricultural purposes, and other things, it will go a long way to preserve the resources that are being used to produce these containers.
Just to keep up with that, an environmental expert once said that if we are to recycle all the plastics that we have, there will be no need creating new plastics. Do you agree with that?
No, I really agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because just imagine the brewery company reusing these plastic containers, for juice, to can all this juice. It will go a long way, because just in my municipality, just the amount I drink, let me say one bottle each week. Just imagine within, let me say, almost half a year now, just imagine the amount of containers I'll have in front of me. Just imagine how to deposit them. It's really a problem to the environment.
Okay.
Yes, and that's really a problem. And so we need to also encourage environmental friendly practices.
Okay.
Environmental friendly practices.
Such as?
Like, let me take for an example. For our girls, for example, the wig they use, and the mesh they use to plating. What happened when they have undone their hair? What happened? They dump it somewhere. It's already a threat to the soil, and therefore affecting agriculture.
And it takes more than 400 years for it to decay.
And even if they burn it, it's still a problem, because it goes a long way to deplete the ozone layer, which is a problem to us. And again, air pollution, it pollutes the air, which is not good for human intake. Yes, that's also a problem. Then conserving water, then the use of paper also.
Okay.
The use of paper. Be mindful. I remember some years back, was it 2014, when the government banned the use of plastics. When the government had to ban the use of plastics. The example, a place I'm concerned about, that's where I'm versed with. You have to, before you go to the market, you need to look for your own plastic. And it went a long way as making people to use one plastic multiple times. Yes, rather than going to the market every day, you go, you want to buy, you use the plastic, you want to buy. What will happen when you use all of them? You come back to the house, where do you dump them?
That's the truth. Without any recycling plant,
Yes,
put
without
in
any
place,
recycling
you
part.
see the
That is also
environment really
that's also a
attacked with
problem.
plastic.
Just imagine you go today, you buy plastic, and
Mm-hmm.
then you keep in the house. When next you are going to buy, let me say a granite to come and make your soup,
Mm-hmm.
you have to use the same plastic. Discover that it goes a long way to protect
Wow,
the
wow,
environment.
wow. That's indeed an amazing presentation by Mr. Terry. At this juncture, we'll be heading over to the audio console for Christina to give us a bow of an environmental song. Welcome back, favorite listeners of the University of Bamenda radio station. You're still tuned to your favorite environmental program, Green Globe. And at this juncture, we'll be turning to our experts to get the last words or the take home message for our fervent listeners. We'll start with you, Mr. Quencha Emmanuel, a seasoned environmentalist. Please, what last word do you have for our listeners?
Okay, Mr. Awadbutan, thank you very much. Yeah, I think Mr. Alam made a very important point here. Yeah, it's good we go in for renewable energy. Yes, because even with the electricity shortages we have in our environment nowadays, I think it's better we go in for solar panels than for generators, because even these generators themselves, the smoke that these
Yes,
generators produce,
that's
they
true.
the smoke, the noise, and all that you see.
The inconvenience.
So
And they're still using fossil
and
fuel.
they still use fuel. So that's the take home message from my end.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll head over to our renewable energy expert, Mr. Alan. Please, what word do you have for our population
Thank you
out
very
there?
much, sir. As a last word for our audience this morning, I advocate for solar energy.
Okay.
I believe in a mama with 20,000. A mama can do a simple system that will be able to empower our house. Students will be able to study and they'll be able to charge their phone. Why not going into solar energy in the villages where electricity is not even available?
Wow.
So I advocate for solar energy that will protect the water, that will protect our ozone layer, that will protect the environment.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Alan. We'll be turning over to our agricultural engineer, Monsieur Engineer de Agronome. Any last words for our population?
Well, I would tell our population to be responsible. I think almost everybody goes to the farm and farms. If we don't farm, we cultivate the produce of the farm. So let us be responsible. Yesterday, I witnessed a situation where some people, a beehive that was installed in a trunk, a tree trunk. I came and noticed that those that were walking around the area, they were burning the hive.
Oh,
So I had to educate them that no, you don't have to burn them.
that's
If there's a way to collect, to tap them, maybe prepare a hive, collect them, it will do you good, because those bees, they help to pollinate, and without the bees we cannot have produce from the farm. So let us be responsible in our action. uh, Responsible farm practices: do not burn the soil, uh, do not do the slash and burn, because all of this will only end up uh, making you to suffer more losses and put the environment at risk. Thank you.
thank you very much, Mr. Maxwell. At this juncture, we'll virtually be winding down to the close of our programs. We would like to thank our engineer at the audio console, Winu Christina. We would equally like to give a big shout out to our station manager, Mr. Ngongsong Jean Marie. At the audio console, I am at the anchor, I am Awad Pichwana Bani. And dear favorite listeners, we'll take the appointment for next week, Friday, 10 o'clock. Big shout out to you out there. We love you, and that's why we're here to educate you, to ensure that you have a mutual symbiotic relationship with the environment. And as such, we take the rendezvous for next week, Friday, 10 o'clock. Bye bye. I think we are good, right?